Now, there is no doubt about it that Deadpool and Wolverine was the biggest success of 2024 for Marvel Studios, all because of Ryan Reynolds, Shawn, Levy, Paul Wernick, and Rhett Reese, the entire team of Deadpool and Wolverine taking a stand against the Disney heads, against the Disney executives, really making it clear to them that it's their way or the highway based on how they wanted to make this movie. Now, of course, you're going to have a lot of actors and actresses within the film industry, within the Hollywood bubble, if you will, that are against Ryan Reynolds and his overall vision for Deadpool and Wolverine, and this brings us back to She-Hulk actress Tatiana Maslany. Let's jump into this, shall we? This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So we already know that Marvel Studios is basically a big hit or miss division right now over at the Walt Disney Company. There's been a lot of failures in recent years and especially even in recent months, but focusing more on this actual movie in specifics, of course, we know that Ryan Reynolds is very proud of the work that he poured into this thing, even though a lot of drama came along with it behind closed doors between himself and Bob Iger, the Disney CEO. However, when it comes down to Tatiana Maslany, she seemingly still has a growing issue with Ryan's style of this movie and how it really shifted away from Disney's ideology and really just focused on pure entertainment, on a good story that would actually entertain the fans. Now, we already know that Deadpool and Wolverine has garnered $1.3 billion worldwide, and technically still climbing on a minimal scale because it's still scattered in the movie theaters. However, on top of that, with the Walt Disney Company and many of their divisions failing one after the other, already putting excessive pressure on Bob Iger, one monumental development going on right now has more to do with the growing tensions between both Ryan Reynolds and She-Hulk actress Tatiana Maslany. Now, recently Maslany delivered the following after the major success that is Deadpool and Wolverine. As an actress, I just think the MCU has changed and in the wrong direction, and that, more often than not, we have creators that tend to ignore powerful female roles, and I think this is where Ryan failed with Deadpool and Wolverine. And one of my main criticisms as a woman is that Ryan, Shawn, Rhett, and Paul, the whole team, just flat out ignored powerful women that would gain the spotlight in a film like this massive. Now look, I am unwilling to really go into details about She-Hulk, but we had many conversations and worked on some things here and there, and it just didn't happen, it just didn't work, and I thought it was completely unfair. I just think that when you are looking at a Deadpool movie, which is a movie aimed toward comic fans and hence aimed toward kids and younger audiences, you really should tone down on the violence and curse words. That was another criticism that I had that Ryan completely ignored. That of course got pretty much put to the wayside. Two, of course, they believed artistically it was accurate to the character's representation to the comics, but quite frankly, I just thought it came across as childish and desperate to bring in an older age group for the curse words alone. Now guys, let me just say one thing about this real quick before I move on. The fact that she has a problem with curse words in this movie, with the violence in Deadpool and Wolverine, then you obviously have no idea who Deadpool is and what the character's all about and what the story is all about that revolves around him. Now, look, we know that Deadpool and Wolverine especially are very two iconic characters, not just in comics, but now also in movies. And you gotta realize that to really convince the audience, and especially the fans that are really engaged in the comics, if you want them to come and support your vision and support your product, you have to respect the accuracy, and that's exactly what Ryan Reynolds did. So I don't see why Tatiana Maslany has a big problem with Ryan for aiming for accuracy and really, representing the character in a way that's pretty much done in the comics. So she goes on to further establish this by delivering the following. You have Wolverine dropping F-bombs, you have Deadpool dropping F-bombs, and it just gets old after a while. The future of Marvel, I feel, is dependent on characters like She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, Ironheart, and so many of these powerful female roles that failed to make it in this movie that was all about cameos and the multiverse. A missed opportunity, and we really tried to make it work. We really did. And it frustrates me to this very day that men have a growing issue with women in comic book films. I mean, just look at Deadpool and Wolverine and how they put Lady Deadpool to the wayside, just because it's becoming more intentional that female roles aren't really important to creators like Ryan, Shawn, and the rest that worked on this thing. Was it a success? Yes. Was it something that I agreed with? Absolutely not. And I think many changes needed to be made. So, guys, before I move on about what Tatiana has to conclude here, this is another prime example of somebody that is getting very defensive after she was given the boot by Marvel Studios, by the Walt Disney Company, to no longer appear in multiple Marvel projects. She got removed from so many different projects within the Marvel Studios, division over at Disney, that obviously it has made her bitter. She has a very big problem with Ryan's success. She has a very big problem, especially with the fact that this movie garnered $1.3 billion. Meanwhile, She-Hulk Season 1 tanked on Disney+. So here's the other thing, is that she's claiming that there are no powerful female roles in this movie. Is she not focusing on Cassandra Nova? I mean, I just find it very odd that she only brings up Lady Deadpool and how she didn't really have crazy screen time in the movie, which, by the way, is okay, that's fine. The movie was really focused on Cassandra Nova as the main female, character in the movie. But that wasn't the main thing here, is that she's also addressing that this movie is not about powerful female roles. Well, obviously, technically it isn't. This is a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, hence the title. I mean, I don't see how you can't understand that. But moving on, in conclusion, she goes on to close, we need brighter creators that don't need to just rely on violence and cursing. We need great female stories to be told to the audience that could inspire others to go into this industry, which will openly criticize when it goes to Disney, because one day they support you and the next it's like you're an afterthought. And that's my main criticism about Disney, and it is so hard to just register that in your mind when it happens. So, this isn't the first time, by the way, that she called out Disney, called out Bob Iger as well. She had a lot of problems during I believe it was the actors' strike, or the writers' strike, one or the other. She had a very big problem with Bob Iger and the way he was handling the strikes. Now, look, we know at the same exact time that Tatiana looked at the Marvel Studios brand as her bread and butter. She viewed She-Hulk as this big opportunity to remain relevant in the film industry beyond her other projects that aren't really getting the limelight as much as they would in Marvel projects, right? She viewed Marvel basically as this gateway, or as this launch pad, if you will, to really getting a lot of recognition on the big screen eventually in a lot of MCU projects. Something, by the way, that now even Kevin Feige is trying to reverse and is trying to bring back She-Hulk, seemingly kind of turning his back against Ryan Reynolds to an extent. We'll have a lot more to talk about that as well. But look, at the same exact time, this movie, $1.3 billion, and how now Disney is really in talks on whether or not they want to further latch on to more R-rated movies, is obviously bothering Tatiana Maslany. So anyway, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.